Good day, everyone. We're going to be discussing about next assessment in the radar, which is going to be the foundation synoptic assessment for the level 2 AAT foundation accounting course. And this is going to be an exam which you're going to be doing it after you've done all your core modules. Your core modules consist of your bookkeeping transactions, bookkeeping control, and then the element of costing unit. So once you've done all these three of them, you should be eligible to sit for the synoptic assessment. And please be aware, you must have attempted at least one of those sittings. Doesn't matter you pass or fail, but if you're not sat for any of those exams, you will not be able to proceed to the synoptic assessment, unfortunately. So we are currently looking at the screen now. This is the standard format of it. The exam consists of 7 tasks, as it says here, and that's for the duration of 120 minutes. So it's 2 hours there. Total marks for the exam is going to be 100. And then for the first time in your level 2 qualification, you're going to have sort of written tasks associated with, a little bit of a basic writing, and then obviously like report writing skills and how to compose an official response or an email. Okay, but they will be part of the whole exam, but we will discuss about it in how we can conquer those kind of particular scenarios. So for the exam itself, as usual, I have my calculator, which is your tools of trade, and we expect you to be ready. Make sure you carry all the necessary stationery required for the exam, and obviously most of the places they will provide you with a rough paper, so you don't have to carry anything from there, to be honest, and you probably know the drill. So let's start with the assessment now. Quick start. So we're going into the assessment straight away. Now what you see here is task 1, and it has monthly work schedule management accounts and weekly work schedule finance account. So this question is now we're going to be looking into. The person is doing it. There is a box here which brings the scenario screen where you can move the scenario situation here and there to different areas. So let me just see whether I can get it a little bit more clearer. Video is not that clear, to be honest, but let me see whether that makes a difference now. Yeah, it is a lot different now, so I can see a little bit better. So now what you can see here, there is a monthly work schedule for management accounting and a weekly work schedule for financial accounting. And also you notice there, this is what you need to be doing on that particular week or the day of that particular week. And here though, this is going to be something of a weekly task you have to do. So it is scheduled as daily. And then also you can see there is a time each task needs to be completed by. So what you now can establish, these tasks, because they have a deadline, they needs to be prioritized, because we need to make sure your tasks are getting done on time, and then you can move on to do any additional works you have available to do on that day. So let's see that here on the 4-week cycle, the work schedules below shows the days when the routine task must be completed and the amount of time each task take. Okay, so let's go down here and check. Now they're saying here you're planning your work on the start of the day on Friday of week 4. You have been asked to complete a non-routine cash book task by 10 a.m., which is already included in your to-do list, which is already here. We can't amend that one now, but we still have few more hours to do here. So there's 4 more hours outstanding on that day, and we have to find out what we need to be doing for the rest of it. If you somebody there come and ask me, where's my break there? By law, if you work 5 hours, break is not something included in your work. If you work more than 5 hours, company has the discretion to give you either a paid or unpaid break of 15 to 30 minutes, depends on how many hours you're going to do. Okay, so now let's see here. These tasks are over here, but once I go here, if I click on these 2 buttons, I'll be able to bring the task list to the side there, and then you'll be able to work your way trying to find out which one is important and how I'm going to be getting this part sorted. Okay, so let's see here. So now this is Friday of week 4. So Friday, there is 1, 2, 3. Three additional tasks needs to be done here on Friday. If you notice that here, every Friday they have reconcile a statement. Every Friday they have to process invoice, and every day they have to post checks. So they all have their own cutoff. So we need to make sure, if you look at that, this one is the earliest cutoff we have here, process invoice. On Friday, it needs to be done by 11 o'clock. So here we have only one slot and it has 1 hour as well. So we need to make sure that is the one we're going to be using to process our invoices. And then if you look at the next task, posting checks needs to be done every day at 12. So there is no other task can be done because it's going to take an hour. So we look at that post checks. And then if you go further down, you have this reconciling statements that is already there. That can be done up to 1 o'clock. That is all sorted. But now there is no further financial accounting task left on this list needs to be done on a Friday. So we can simply close that. And then we move on to see on Friday, do we have anything else? We have one more here on week 4 on Friday. We have to have a cost coding, which is for 1 hour. So we chose cost coding and put it down here because there is no set time limit for that needs to be done. If there is a time limit, then we have to find out which way we can jiggle it around. But luckily, everything has been fitted into their right time frame. So we don't have to worry about moving cost coding anywhere else. We leave it on the last available option. Next one, they're asking you here. You are often asked to complete non-routine tasks. However, on which day in each 4-week working cycle, you are too busy with routine tasks to accept non-routine work. So it asks you to find out which day of the week and what's the week number. To do that, we need to find out what is your total workload on every individual dates. So for example, on a Monday, if you look at that, just Monday, we need to find out how many hours we're going to be doing on the financial task. So here, if you look at that on Monday, we have 1 hour worth of contact suppliers and every day 1 hour. So that's 2 hours on a Monday. So if you look at that, Monday is 2 hours. Tuesday, let's see, we have 2 hours of that and 1 hour of every day. That's 3 hours. Wednesday, you have 1 hour every day, 2 hours. So I'm recording all of that now, just in case we have to come back to that one. So I can see whether I can share a screen with you, but I'm not writing that down here. So on Thursday, so let's see Thursday is 2 hours and 1 hour here. So every day, if you look at that, every one of those days have different tasks. At the moment, Monday and Wednesday are the days I am doing only 2 hours worth of work from the financial accounting. Other days is either 3 or more. My apologies. And then obviously we're going to look at it, which days here I'm going to be having less. So if you look at that here on Monday and Tuesday, give me 1 second, please. Let me just see whether there is anything hidden there. Monday 1 hour, Monday 1 hour. Okay. So they're asking here which day of the week we're going to be very quiet. So let's see, we can add those to these days and find out which one of those days will have no work at all or very less work. Okay, so let's find that out. For that one, I need to see whether I can write it something on the screen here. Give me 1 second, please, guys. Just going to pause it for a second. Yeah. I need to find a way. I'm going to be sharing you a different file now. Give me a second, please. Windows snipping tool. So here, what you see now, um, what dates you may have information. So here, let me say Monday. So we have 1 hour here and 2 hours. So I'm going to write 2 hours here. That one, 2. I cannot write with the hand, so I have to use the keyboard here. Monday is 2 hours. Tuesdays is going to be 2 hours plus this 1 hour, 3 hours. Wednesday is going to be 1 plus 1, 2 hours. Thursdays is going to be 2 plus 1, 3 hours. And Friday, 1, 2, and 3, 3 hours. So these are the financial accounting tasks we had to be doing for those particular dates. So here we add with our management cost. So we know we have 4 hours that day, 4 hours that day, 2 hours that day, and 4 hours. Let's go back to here. 3 hours that day, 4 hours that day, 3 hours that day, and 3 hours that day. So again, we have 4 hours this day, 4 hours this day, 3 hours, and 2 hours. And here, 5 hours here, 3 hours here, 3 hours here, 4 hours here. 3 plus 1, 4 hours here, 3 hours here, 4 hours here, and 4 hours here. Okay, so this now allows you to find out how many hours we'll be working on that particular day. The question, on the other hand, though, is slightly different. So let's go back to that question again. The question asked us, identify on which day in which week will be the busiest with routine from the management and the financial account schedule. So here, the most busiest day we've seen on the previous one, on the task we done, was the Thursday of week 1. So there's the only time we have 5 hours because we started with 3 hours of management account, so financial accounting, and 2 hours of the management accounting. So here I'm going to say Thursday, and week 1 will be the answer. Now the next part of the question is a cash book. Non-routine cash book task in today's to-do list is finalizing the cash book below for a colleague who has been taken ill. So what we now have to do, what will be the cash and bank balance carried down? So imagine it's asking you what is the carried down figure. So that will be on the opposite side to where you normally have your board down. So this is going to be your balancing figure. So let's total the cash side. Debit side, we have 1,110. And the credit side has 850. So your balance carried down for cash, it's going to be a difference between those two, £260, but that will be on the credit side. So that means your debits and credits will match if your balance carried down is on the credit side. Unlike the bank balance, though, they will be slightly different because if you notice, the cash started on the debit side, that means we have cash. Bank started on the credit side, that means this account is overdrawn. If that is overdrawn, obviously you know for a fact that is something, a liability for us, and this is something we will have the balance normally brought down on the debit, so on the credit side. So now let's add those two sides and see whether is it going to remain on the credit side or is it going to be shifted over to the debit side with positive balance. So 6542 plus 1365 plus 396 plus 234. It is coming down to 8,537. And if you take away 2,150 minus 1,525 minus 850, that gives you 4,012 pounds. And that is still going to be creating a negative or overdrawn balance of your bank account. So your balance carried down for bank will be on the debit side for 4,012 pounds. So that amount will normally come down here, and then it will total with your bank to find the final amount there. Then they are asking you here, what will be the totals of the cash and bank columns once the balance have been inserted? So what they're asking you the total amount as, what was the column total? So here the debit side total is going to be 1,110, and the credit side total was, I almost had it there. Let me just go back in there and add it again. 150 plus 1525 plus 850. That gives you 8,537 pounds, which we already knew was the total of the credit side of this cash book. 2 marks for that as well. So that should be the end of that question 1. Question 2, on the other hand, now we're going to be delving into a bit of a CSR kind of a question. They're asking you about, not CSR, it's more of a working effectively. Okay, so on the working effectively, you're looking at, SCM Product has recruited Simon, who has recently left school, a young gentleman, to work in the finance function as a trainee. In his first year, Simon will spend time with you, some time helping you with general tasks such as postal duties, photocopying, filing, and he will also work with the cashiers and the management accounting and financial accounting teams. As Simon is due to start work next week, you have been asked to provide some notes to help him settle into the role. You have decided to begin the notes with main roles of finance function. So what do you need to know about finance function? What is the finance function? That's all it is. Here, ensuring the security of the finance data. Okay, that is important. Ensuring the security of the production processes. Do you think the finance department will be in charge of it or bother about that much? No. So we can eliminate that for an answer. Managing funds effectively. Okay, so you may think, okay, that is a function of the, a finance department, of course. Managing the staff in other internal departments. Normally, that is done by the human resources department, so will not probably fall into this finance function. Producing monthly bank statements, okay, can be. Produce statutory financial statements, yeah, should be. Providing accounting information to other internal departments, yeah, okay, that should be fine. Providing IT support to other internal departments, that is not right. But this one here, producing monthly bank statements, I don't think that will be a job for the finance function, because does the bank give you the bank statements or you do that by yourself? You normally do cash book and then you do your bank reconciliation, not producing monthly bank statements. So that is not a right answer. So for me, the answer is going to be this: accounting information to other internal departments, statutory financial statements, managing funds effectively, ensuring the security of the finance data, because they're all important for the finance function. It is Simon's first week and you are helping him to induction into the organization. You've been asked to highlight important policies and procedures on SCM's product internet that Simon should familiarize himself with. So if you look at that here, this is the company's policies and procedures. So it is going to be mostly internal because it's in the internet. So you need to do what you need to do. So Simon needs to know about what is the holiday entitlement policy. Of course, any employee who works for a company must know what sort of entitlement they are due. Research and development policy. Do you think Simon has to be worried about whilst he working on the finance department? No, that is for a different department for R&D. Product grading procedures. Do you think the finance department normally in charge of product rating. It is mostly done by probably the quality control department or maybe the production department themselves. So it's not something we have to worry about. Petty cash claiming procedures, you need to be aware of it. Why? Because normally a petty cashier will be a part of the finance team. Therefore, someone needs to be familiarized with that one. So I'm going to put this one down straight away as with the holiday entitlement policy as the two answers I think might be right. A vehicle maintenance checking procedure. Do you think somebody in the finance has to do about what is the VMU unit, means the vehicle maintenance unit do? No, that will be on a different part of the operations. Warehouse storage procedure. Do you think Simon has to know about that one? No. How about staff development policies? Simon needs to know about that because anyone who works in any sort of a department, they will have their own personal development or plans, and then to do your continuous professional development, you need to have some sort of a development policy. You need to be aware of that. And of course, check banking procedure is going to be part of the finance department's procedures, and it says your policies and procedures, so you need to be aware of that as well. So now here, you worked with Simon for a while. Simon has been working with you for a few weeks now, and you're aware of some concerns in relation to his performance. Of course, you understand it's a new employee, and then that comes with its own pitfalls and pleasures. But whichever it is, now you have found some concerns. During the meeting, Simon appears uninterested and does not participate. There are also have been instances of Simon misunderstanding instructions and not meeting deadlines, which are very crucial, especially in the finance department. You need to make sure you understand what is being you tasked with, and then also not to miss deadlines because it can be having serious repercussions for not meeting the deadlines. You decide to help Simon develop the skills which are important in his role. Hopefully, Simon will take them. So let's see. Identify 4 ways Simon could develop necessary skills to help him in this role. Interrupt the speaker to ask questions during the meeting? No. Normally, you don't interrupt the speaker. You let the speaker finish and you wait for your turn to ask any questions because normally an effectual speaker normally does its speaking and then they will give the opportunities for the peers, the listeners, or the participants to voice their, concerns or raise questions. So this is definitely not an answer. Make eye contact with the speaker, of course. When somebody's speaking, you need to make sure you make a regular eye contact, not just a staring contest, but it's something like facing towards them, seeing them what they're saying, and then obviously make sure you have their attention that way. Wait until the person speaking has finished before asking question. Yes, we have said that. Cough loudly to indicate the speaker the meeting has overrun. Yeah, unless you are basically, pushed against the walls, I would so strongly recommend not to do this. This is, will be definitely deemed as unprofessional. So that's definitely not an answer. Complete the work task at your own pace, focusing on accuracy of work. Now, it's very important now for you. If you're working on your own pace, focusing on accuracy of the work, you are not completing the jobs in timely manner. So sometimes that is not what is expected of you because he's already not meeting deadline. So in that case, this is going to be affecting even more. So I'm going to be thinking this is not right answer. And then moving on, let's see whether there are any better answers there. Discuss the difficulties meeting deadlines with your supervisor at the earliest opportunity, which is the perfect way to put it. Because obviously, if you think you're not going to be making the deadlines on time, then you should be speaking to your line manager, advising you, helping you with it. Okay, the answer is that one. Sorry. Complete work task as quickly as possible, relying on your supervisors to check the accuracy of the work. Again, this is completely counterproductive because if you do too quickly, of course, you may end up making errors, and supervisors will spend all their time trying to correct errors, which is going to be double manning, losing the resources, and then obviously won't make a good impression to all your peers. So that is definitely not an answer. Ask as many questions as you need until you fully understand what you are being asked to do so. It is right, isn't it? Because it says they ask as many as question as you need until you fully understand. Because here, Simon misunderstand instructions. So if you don't understand, please ensure you ask those questions to make sure you understand what you've been asked to. Because if you don't ask the right question and you end up doing it wrong, then again you go back to this particular scenario. Your task's been completed, but it's no way a supervisor come back and check it for you. So these are the 4 potential answers there. Excuse me. So here, now we move to question number 3. SCM Products has supplied goods to Peppers Limited. You have been asked to complete the invoices by calculating the invoice accounts. Refer to the price list and complete the 4 boxes in the invoice below. So here, what we see here, and quantity, and then these 4 boxes, they want it for 4 marks. So the code of the goods are BXC20. Each price is at £3.85. So we're going to put that 385 here. 3.85, and then net amount in that scenario is going to be 3.85 multiplied by 120 items, and that gives you a total net amount of £462. So now we are looking at just filling that invoice here. There is no discount in sight anywhere, so the VAT amount is going to be there for 20% of it. Multiply by 20%, that gives me £92.40, and then which gives you the total amount. After that, multiply by 6 or add both of those together, 554.40. So it is going to be £554.40. And then also you notice I have put the decimals here because see all the other figures have come with the decimals. So it's a bit appropriate if you can use decimals where it's possible, even though they haven't specifically say that. You may be fine doing it without the decimal here, but it is, what is that again? More appropriate if you use that decimals there. So they're asking you, the next task is to enter the invoices into the appropriate day book. So if you look at that now, it says the SCM product has supplied goods to Peppers Limited. So that means you are the seller, Peppers are your buyers. So they are your customers. If they're your customers, they're going to be recorded in where? It's going to be a sales day book. Sales day book. You're going to choose the data. Saying Peppers Limited. The account code for Peppers Limited, it says somewhere here. PEP003. So we go there. PEP 003. Yeah, that's done. The total is going to be the total value of the invoice, £544.40. Sorry, £554.40. VAT is going to be £92.40. And then the net amount is going to be £462. Okay. SCM product is considering offering its customer a 2.5% prompt payment discount for payments within 5 days of a date of invoice. So calculate the amount that would be paid by Peppers Limited if the 2.5% prompt payment discount was offered on the invoice in A and the invoice paid within 5 days. Okay, so if they have paid that invoice within 5 days, we have to take away the 2.5% off, which is going to be minus whichever we got there, and 0.975. And I have end up with the amount the customer will be paying you is going to be £540.54. Then asking you what is the latest date by SCM product should receive the payment from Peppers Limited if the prompt payment discount was taken. So if you look at that here now, the date of the invoice is going to be 15th of May. From there, it's going to be 5 days. So the latest is going to be 20th. So if you look at that here, that is the latest date the payment should be taken by SCM Limited. Okay, so what do you see now? It's whole of your bookkeeping transactions covered in one part. Next question we have, question number 4. This one, you're working on a sales and a purchase ledger control at the end of June. The debit entries in the sales ledger control account is 219,476. The credit entries total 197,823. Calculate the amount of balance brought down. Okay, so here, if you take away one of that figure from the others, 219,476 minus 197,823, and that gives you 21,653. That is the balance brought down for the sales ledger control account. So here now, we now need to reconcile the sales ledger control account on the sales ledger. You already totaled the balance of each account in the sales ledger, recorded 19,812 pounds. But you have just discovered you have omitted balances of the sales accounts below. So if you look at that here, there's one for Cooper Limited and one for Sophie Hunt. And they want you to now calculate the total of the sales ledger balances, including two accounts above. But what you now notice straight away, one of the account, it's got a debit balance, another account got a credit balance. So what is the meaning of it? That means potentially we owe money back to Sophie Hunt, could be for various reasons. Probably they overpaid intentionally, like they have paid an extra money on the account, or after they paid an invoice, a credit note was issued that reducing the balance they owe us, which is zero. Okay, so from zero, the amount went into the credit side. So this is more of a amount taken away from this total there. So let's find out what is the new balance. The new balance now, 19,812 plus 1,746 minus 312. That should give you a balance of 21246. Okay, but they're asking you what is the difference now. Difference is between those two. That minus 21653 is going to be for the amount of 407 pounds. But now again, in my previous videos, I have discussed and I have told you guys, we're not going to be bothering about this part until late in the day. The reason why, because they're wordy questions worth for only 1 marks. We normally leave it for last as a encore performance. Try to find out a simpler way to decipher these words into numbers. Okay, and the numbers don't lie. The words can be deceitful. So we'll leave that for time being. Here they're asking you, next task is to prepare a purchase ledger control account. What is a purchase ledger control account again? It is an account where we maintain all the balances we owe to our credit suppliers. So therefore, this is a liability account. The balance is normally going to be on the credit side. So what they're now asking you, what will the entry in this purchase ledger control account? But for that one, you have to decide what they will do to my purchase ledger account. Will they increase the balance or decrease the balance? So what is purchase ledger control account? As I said to you, that's the list of customer balances from the credit suppliers. Oh, sorry, supplier balances who you owe money to. Okay, so first part, if you look at that here, only the totals will get affected into their relevant control account. So for the purchase, anything do like the new purchases, purchase returns, or discount received will be all going into the PLC account. So to find out what is the amount we're going to be debit or credit, we just start to decide which amount. It's always going to be the total. So here, entry from the purchase day book, 23,454. Is that going to be a debit or a credit entries? What happens when a customer buys goods from you for credit? They will be classed as an asset for you. Therefore, the balance will be recorded into SLCA on the debit side. But when you're buying goods from a supplier for credit, we become their asset and they will be our liabilities. Therefore, on your PLCA, the amount we owe to those suppliers will go in the credit side. So when you're buying goods from them, this is definitely going to increase the credit side of the T account. Then let's see the next one. Purchase returns and the discount received. Both of these will obviously reduce the balance you owe to your suppliers. Therefore, they will be having the opposition effect, and they will be both going into debit side of the PLCA. So amount on the total column and 768. So that should be enough. So now you need to deal with the note below, which you have received today, 30th of June 20XX, from the finance manager, Paul Page. I remember a Paul Page a year ago. Yeah. I'm concerned that the balance of 1,746 owing from Cooper Limited, a credit customer, is overdue for payment. Outstanding the amount outstanding relates to the invoice number 328 from the 12th of April 2000 XX. Please prepare a letter for Mr. Cooper at Cooper Limited, ready for my signature, explaining the situation, asking him to contact me if there are any issues, or to send payments by return. Okay, so we have to say that clearly. What is that expected from you is to put those statement into a context where it is understandable by the person receiving it. Okay, so what your job is now, you're going to write down this is for Mr. Cooper, it's from SCM product. You say here, Cooper. And then you can also do a heading if you like to. You say why we are chasing it down, saying outstanding balance. Okay, you can say settlement of the outstanding debt. So we need to make sure we put these kind of things there on a proper structure, because if I do this, it's gone now. So here I'm going to say settlement of outstanding. And write it down saying, I'm wondering whether you may be able to settle the balance of £1,746 owing from this, and yeah, you can say the invoice number 328, dated 12th of March. You can put it down on a paragraph and say is an immediate settlement required. If there is a, and please do send the payment by postage or with the return of this letter. And then also you can add a new paragraph stating, if there is any further queries pertinent to this particular claim, please ensure to contact Mr. Cooper, not Mr. Cooper, who's that? Who's the manager? Yeah, Paul. Paul Page. Could you please contact Paul Page if you like to discuss any matters related to that or outstanding invoice? And then at the end of it, we can put it down for the email. Kind regards, Paul Page. Yourself. Okay. 6 marks for that one, guys. But what is the most important here on this one? Your exam is not just relying on what you write there. It is important you have your structure right, and you have your contents, and then your spelling and grammar. So very important we achieve marks on all these three different categories. But the breakdown of this you can be finding on the AAT website, and then there is a clear explanation of what is expected from you. Since it's only 6 mark questions, I think you get 3 marks for the contents, 2 for structure, and 1 for spelling and grammar. Or it's either way around, whichever it is there. 3, 2, 1 will be the marks format. But the next one, you see a bigger question, which is question number 6. The marking schemes can be slightly different. The different marking scheme will be used for what do you call on a different way. We'll get there. I'll explain to you a little bit further. Question number 1.5 now. So here, this is again working effectively, and this is asked to provide some information and insight into different types of social, what do you call, corporate social responsibility report. Okay, so here they're asking you our commitment to minimize the environmental impact of our activities, our commitment to improve the welfare of people. So this is going to be planet and this is going to be people. Okay, so it's important. Identify which one is for either one of them, and then make sure you drag and drop 3 appropriate initiatives for each section. Excuse me. Really sorry about that, guys. A bit tiresome for me today, but it's fine because the exam's around the corner, so I need to make sure this video reaches everybody where you'll be able to have a quick look into that one and then make use of the commentary during this assessment. So here, ensuring all staff use public transport rather than their own vehicle when traveling for business purposes. That is straight away off bat incorrect answer. You don't ensure all the staff using public transport, especially when it comes to the business purposes, because public transports can be kind of tedious and what is that again, can let you down with the timing and everything there. And then of course it's going to be not financially viable. You're going to be using them as in the public transport. You can't make them to go use the public transports while you're working unless they provide you with the reason and the money to go in there. Okay, so that's definitely not an answer. Ensuring production process maximize energy consumption. If you say maximize the energy consumption, that is a counterproductive thing for your environment. So that answer is also going to be incorrect. And then look at that. Ensuring all staff minimize cost and expenses to the organizations. So you can't make sure the costs are minimized, especially when it comes to any businesses. If you say you're going to minimize the cost and the expense to the organization, you're not looking at providing a decent service, isn't it? Because that way, if you produce substandard items, provide substandard services, and then obviously if you go for cheapest, you may compromise on the environmental effect as well. So that is not going to be a right answer. Next one, introducing flexible working conditions so staff can work and still meet personal commitments. That seems to be a real good option. But is it going for environmental or welfare of our employees? Employees will take flexible working condition because it allows them to, do different sort of things there to balance their work and their private life. Okay, which is going to be a very important thing. So since the pandemic, these statements become even more and more appropriate now. Ensuring all staff complete overtime each week. So you can't say that way because you can't compulsorily making somebody to work overtime, and it will be against the law though if they make you do that one, unless you opt out. Imposing a weekend working requirement on all staff. That's again, it's going to be effective because you're basically trying to misuse the position to make sure everybody works weekend, because some of you only will be signed on to that work because it was Monday to Friday. Like myself, I don't work weekends. That's going to throw a huge spanner on the works there, and this is something definitely not a right answer. Increasing the senior management salaries by 10%. So is that about looking after the welfare of our employees? Definitely not, because senior managements will be right at the top. That is not going to be something we're going to be encouraging there. If they got 10% raise, you also should get a raise there, which they haven't mentioned. Offering the free membership to a local gymnasium for all staff. So this one seems to be a really good option. But again, I'm going to mark it there as for time being, might be for the welfare of our employees, but the free gym membership is something I'm not looking forward to. But let's see whether there is any better answer there afterwards. Ensuring emissions from our delivery vehicles are minimized. So that is good because it's going to be helping you with your environmental impact. Allowing the staff to complete overseas project, which will bring voters to communities in development countries. So this is also going to be what do you call for environment, isn't it? Because if you look at that overseas projects to bring water to commitment to in developing countries, here seems to be a good option there. Installing energy saving equipment in our production plant. Okay, so that is going to be including improving the green gases emitted from um, the production process, and then that may become kind of detrimental when it comes to uh, the environment. So we have set that as environment. Last one is offering a free membership to local gymnasium. Sorry, one here. Offering staff training and supporting those wishing to gain further qualification. Yes, of course, I will do that. And the last but the least, this one. That's the most appropriate answer. The next question, on the other hand, in line with the previous commitment to improving social local environment on the SCM product, recently held an event to raise funds to renovate the local community core. The CSR team is responsible for reporting on the costs of the event. The budget costs are £1.75 per person for food. Entertainment is £50 per 100 people. 1,500 people attended the event, a lot of people than we expected, and the actual costs are shown in the table below, and you have been asked to compare these with the budgeted cost. So here, the budgeted cost is going to be for 1,500 people multiplied by 175. So 1.75 multiplied by 5,000 people. Uh, the amount, sorry, 1,500, isn't it? Divided by 5 multiplied by 1. 5. Let's see, 1.75 multiplied by 1,500. It is coming as 2,625 pounds. 26. What is the variance now? Variance is going to be budget minus actual is going to be 425 pounds. Is that good or bad? How are you going to find that? You're also going to compare when it comes to revenue. If your actual revenue is higher than your budgeted, then you have a positive, a favorable impact. But on the cost side, it's turned the other way around. That means if your costs are higher than your budget, you have an adverse variance. If your costs are lower than your budget, you have a positive or a favorable variance. That means you have spent less than what you planned or budget for. So in this second one now, the total cost of food, £50 per 100 person. So for 1,500. So here 50 divided by 100. 50 divided by 100 multiply by 1,500. 750 pounds. That should be our food cost. But how much we paid? We paid 1,150. So take away that. Your answer is going to be minus 400. So you have lost a little bit of a dough there. And then you obviously now this is going to be adverse. Sorry, this is going to be favorable. And this is going to be adverse because obviously depends on whether it's going to be plus or minus. But now I'm getting rid of the minus variance. The reason the variance can be always positive, but it is adverse or favorable is the one you're going to make a decision on. So that's the end of task. You have 2 more. Let me go into 1.7 first. Let's come back to the other questions later. So here you're preparing for accounting month end at SCM product. Your first task is to transfer data from purchase daybook to the ledger. An extract from purchase daybook is shown below. So here, Carstairs Limited CBX, C16773X, and this is the amount they have shown here. Show this, show whether the entries in the general ledger book be debit or credit. So here they're asking for purchase. What is a purchase for you? Is that a asset, liability, income, or expense? For you, it is, straight away, money is going out of the account. It's a credit side. This is going to be debit and expense. On your debt click or pulse, it's going to be on the left hand side, which is definitely a debit account. So if that is a debit account, your purchase ledger control, which is for that total amount, 474, must be credit. If that is a credit, VAT also going to be credit. Why? The VAT you're collecting, which is normally going to be paid back to HMRC, but this one can be claimed back, £79. Reason, this time we have paid the tax already to another person, and we have eligibility as a business to reclaim that VAT back. Okay. What is the next one here? What will be the entry in the purchase ledger? So now on the purchase ledger, we have to look for the name of either supplier or customer. So here is going to be a Cast as Limited. The amount is for the amount of 474. The debit is going to be or credit is going to be. So here is going to be credit, which is going to be added to your purchase ledger control. Like here, you see same side as purchase ledger control. On there, we're going to put it on as Cost as Limited. Is the suppliers, we owe that £474. Further down, you have seen here, you have found an error in the accounting records. A check payment of £4,206 to a credit supplier has been recorded as £4,260. So it is basically a crisscross or compensating error, or not compensating error, what we call it, sort of original error of original entry. You have partially prepared journal entries to correct the error in this general ledger. Complete the journal ledger by removing the correct entries and recording the incorrect entries. Do not enter zero in usual debit, unused debit or credit total column cells. So how I'm going to be looking into this now. So if you look at that now, a check payment of £4,206 being recorded as 4260. So they haven't said it's only been done on one account. It can be multiple accounts there. So we have to be very careful what we need to do here. So what do you think you should do? If it's been recorded incorrectly and it's still on the right side of the T account, because here in this scenario, the entries were into the debit of your PLCA and the credit side of the bank account. But now to remove this incorrect entry, we need to make sure the account names are already here. So this payment of 4,206 recorded as 4260, this was originally a credit entry. Now we have to debit this 4260. So this will removed from the account. And similarly, PLCA will have something on the debit side. Okay, so this will be removed as well. Yeah, for a second, please. And then once this incorrect entry was removed, what do you now have to do? We have to look for the right way of entering it. When there is a check payment, it is a money going out of the bank. So it is a credit into my bank account and debit into my PLCA, which is 4206. So if you notice now, the entries are removed by doing this entry, and this one will add the right amount now. So next one, you have also identified that discounts received were omitted from the general ledger. You have prepared the journal entries below to correct the omission. So the entry is going to be like this way. One of them is going to be a debit into purchase ledger, control account for £120 and credit for discount received for £121. Because it's a simple way of omission, there's no need of a suspension account. A suspense account is only created when there is certain errors, there is an imbalance there. If there is an imbalance, then suspense account comes into play. This one will still have a debit and a credit entry, but because it's omitted, there weren't any debits or credits, so the imbalance is not created there. So let's now try to fulfill this account. So here on the discount received account, we have £120. So in this T accounts, I have to use either this or that on the credit side for £120. But which one it is? It is going to be this. Why? We cannot use the entry which says discount received in the same type of account. So if it's a discount received here, we cannot say discount received here on the detail as well. It has to have the name of the opposing T account. So here, this one will be going on that side. So that way, this is reducing the balance of your purchase ledger control account, because when you receive discount from your suppliers, you are actually reducing the amount you owe to your supplier. So that's fine. Now let's go into question number 6. Last but the least, they're asking you here, SCM products interested in how cost behave at different levels of production. She has asked you to prepare a cost analysis at the different level of output for a product. You're told the fixed costs are £20,000 and variable costs are £5 per unit. So these two entries, one of them is the total fixed cost and one £5 variable cost per unit. Please remember, these two don't change with whichever level of production for your level 2 scenarios. So that means the total cost of the fixed cost, it doesn't change, and the unit cost of a variable cost also does not change. If I say I will pay £10 material and £5 labor to produce one item, the total cost or the variable cost in that scenario per unit is going to be £15. Because if I make one piece of clothing, I need £10 material and £5 labor. What if I need two? I need to do £10 material twice and £5 labor twice. So that means £30 means for 2 units. So each unit will be increased by, every time you make one more, it increases by £15. That £15 itself is going to be a fixed element, which we call that as a variable cost per unit. So we need to make sure to establish that now. So at any level of production, 2,000, 5,000, 8,000, your fixed cost is also going to be saying same as this here, 20,000 quid, £20,000 and £20,000. So all three of them will be remaining same, but the variable cost now, with more units you produce, it's going to be increasing now. So here, £5 per unit. So 2,000 units mean total variable cost of £10,000. Here, £25,000, because it's 5,000 multiplied by £5, it's going to give you 25 grand. 8,000 multiplied by 5,000 is 40,000. What you notice now here, this hasn't changed, but this one has increased with the level of production. So the total cost here is 30,000. You add your fixed and variable cost, and then here 45,000, and here 60,000. The total cost has, of course, increased because you're producing more. The cost cannot ever come down, because the more you produce, you pay more. But what happens now, realistically, the unit cost will come down because of the result of this £20,000 now getting absorbed by more and more and more units as you increase the production. So in this scenario, the total cost per unit, total cost is now 30,000, but that's for 2,000 units. So one item is going to cost you how much? £15. If it's £15, that will be total cost of 30,000. But the next one is 45,000 is the total cost. If you have 5,000 unit, each unit will be costing you £9. Here, £60,000 divide by 8, it's going to be giving you £7.50. Okay, let me find that out again. 60 divided by 8, £7.50. Yes. So what you notice, you see, from £15 to £9 to £7.50. So if you make 10,000 units, it's going to even come down more. Okay. So that is something you have to understand. Now this fixed cost is getting absorbed by more and more units. So that means your total cost is going to come down, 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 down per unit. So that is your unit cost now, showing the same trend as I've mentioned earlier. So now here, this is the mother of all writing tasks for level 2 students. So there are some good advice for you to follow here. What is the first thing you have to do? Think you guys are not an expert in the subject. First thing, that's what it is. It is simplicity. Because here you are writing this report to a non-finance staff. Therefore, you do not have to go into detail or use any sort of complicated terms which somebody outside of your finance department will have no clue about. You don't have to sound clever there. You just have to keep it on a layman's term. Just simply explain, what is this, what is that, this is A, this is B. I don't want you to do AA, BB, CC, or XYZ. The reason why you won't do that, that means they are simply trying to get you to stick to writing simple reports for level 2 students. If they want you to do a proper management report, you will be doing that in level 3 and 4. So level 2, they don't expect that from you. So please do not write anything more than what is this box entitles you. So if you go any further than that, that means the marker, the marking in the question, has to scroll down, and I don't think you will like it. You heard from me first here, okay? Maybe not, but just to keep an eye on it. Just as long you can fill this whole of these boxes here. There's several lines there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18, 19, 20. So it's actually 20 lines or 20 rows are there in that box. So you can fit the whole of that report into that box. And also remember, you need to properly structure it, check the spelling and grammar, and then also make sure you give that a proper explanation by doing separate paragraphs for all the major topics they're asking you to talk about. Here, if you look at that here, an explanation of what is the fixed cost is, explanation of variable cost is, what's the description of what will be the unit cost as the production increases, and what is the reason for that one. So here, before you do that, you have to give a brief introduction into the outline of the area. You will say, here I'm going to be explaining what is fixed and what is variable cost, and the scope of, or you say, the behavior of the unit cost as the output increase, and then you explain the reason for that. Okay, so that can be done later on. So what is the fixed cost? Fixed cost is something, it does not change with the level of production. For example, it's a rent, a supervisor salary. What is a variable cost? The cost of a material, fabric, anything like that way, or uh, a labor cost, which changes with the level of production increases. Therefore, this will increase more items you do. The total cost is also going to increase. Unit cost doesn't change. You can say that as well. And what will happen to the unit cost as the output increases? So when you say that, like in the previous example, you don't have to say the previous example. What do you say? More units you produced, the fixed cost element of that total cost now will get absorbed by more and more unit, thus resulting in reducing unit cost per item if the production improves. Okay. All right, guys. That should be it. But let me go back to this question here, 1.3. Let's see here whether we have left it behind. A part of it we haven't completed yet. 1.5, let me see. No, it's not that one. It's the 1.4. Here you go. This one. Identify which one of the reasons below could explain the difference you calculated in. So here there is a disparity. There is a higher balance on your sales ledger control account, but the customer's individual accounts returning a lower amount. So what you need to remember, you need to find out which could be relation to your particular scenario. So here, irrecoverable debt is written off is recorded twice in the sales ledger control account. So if your irrecoverable debt is recorded twice on your SLCA, that normally reduces the balance of that control account. So therefore, that balance will be even lower than the sales ledger individual balances. So this is never going to be a right answer. The goods sold were recorded twice on the sales ledger. So on the SLCA, whenever you're going to be recording new sales records, it increases the balance. So if you've done that twice on the sales ledger, it's going to increase the balance even further. But it's still not that case of this. Here, sales ledger is lower, SLCA is higher. So that is not a right answer. A goods return were recorded twice in the sales ledger control account. So if you do that, if you recorded your sales ledger control account twice, the goods return, what happens? Your sales ledger control account will have a higher debit balance or lower debit balance. It will be lower. Why? When you give goods or when you get the goods returned by your customers, that reduces the balance even further. So the ledger control account will have a lower balance. Sales ledger will have a slightly higher balance because it's not been recorded twice there. So that is also not a right answer. So what do you need to do? You think all three of them are wrong. Fourth one is going to be the right one, but it is not. We will prove it. Let's check it. A discount allowed were recorded twice in the sales ledger. What happens with the discount allowed? Similar to your goods return, but this time it's been recorded in the sales ledger twice. So your sales ledger's balance has come down even further than your sales ledger control account. Therefore, it matches this particular narrative. Therefore, we will say this is the appropriate answer, guys. So, guys, and I'm going to wrap it up now because it's already like a bit more than 1 hour, 30 minutes with with the small break I had earlier as well. Now, in your exams, when you go there, please remember it is most important. Take your time to compose yourself before you start a long exam. The exam is for 2 hours. Plan your times accordingly because 7 questions there, 2 written tasks. So task with other 3 questions, give them say 10 minutes to 12 minutes each question. So that gives you 1 hour to complete all of that. Still end up giving you 2 more questions to do with 1 hour left, which is your written question task 4 and task 6. Also remember, task 6 altogether it has 24 marks. So this is a very important question you have to try for. And also please keep an eye out for major kings, anything to do with bookkeeping control, which you normally will come across a few bit there, which is the tougher part. Go back there, revise some of the suspense accounts. You may get a bank reconciliation, which you don't see here. You might get that as well. But be ready for those kind of questions there. And yeah, I wish you all the best. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. And I wish you a good day to end the session. All the best, guys. Take care and bye bye.